Okay, I told you I was going to get into this. I'm going to just dig into it a little bit just to share with you the origin of Mitt Romney's worldview, shall we say. Certainly Paul Ryan's worldview. You know, where all this came from. And the worldview of many of the people who were in the room at the home of that financier, that private equity, the pirate equity guy, who had based his company on the model of Bain Financial. Bain Financial's business model is basically you find a business that's doing okay. You say the business is worth $100 million. You borrow $100 million in the name of that company. You use that $100 million to buy the company, so you now own it, but it pays the $100 million back to the bank that you borrowed the money from. And to do that, it has to lay off a bunch of people or move its manufacturing, ship it overseas, or whatever. You know, make a lot of profits really fast. And then when the company's finally paid off all the debt, and by the way, you get a big commission on the borrowing, you get a big commission on the sale. So no matter what happens, you're going to make a profit. And then when the company has paid off the debt, then you sell the company and you make $100 million on top of it. So you make, $120, $140, $160 million on a $100 million company, whether you kill it or not. I mean, pirate equity is such a heads I win, tails you lose, and it is based on changes to the tax law that occurred in the second, third, and fourth years of the Reagan administration, and that prior to that would have been a crime. The way Mitt Romney became rich would have been a felony before Ronald Reagan's presidency. And so he's holding this party, or he's holding this fundraiser at the home of this guy who has this Mark, what is Mark's last name? Hang on just a second. Mark, here we go. Leder, L-E-D-E-R. I'm assuming it's pronounced Leder, M-A-R-C, Leder. This guy who has orgies in his home. Hires naked ladies to dance while people have sex around his pool. And then he invites Mitt Romney over, and Romney says what he has to say. So where did all this kind of stuff come from? How do these guys, where does this mindset of, buy a company with debt from the bank, screw its employees horribly, just devastate its employees, do away with the pension, break the union, strip every penny you can out of that company, strip it down to the point where half the employees are left and they're doing twice as much work and they're working their butts off as hard as they possibly can to pay off the debt that you just dumped on that company. And then finally, when they do, then you sell the company again. Where did this, just the mentality of pirate equity, where does this come from? This comes from a woman by the name of Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand was a Russian when she was a little kid in the 1920s. She lived through the Russian Revolution, or the 19-teens. Her father owned a pharmacy, and I believe it was in St. Petersburg. And she lived through that revolution and was horrified by it. I mean, she literally saw this little family business that they had taken over by the state, as was every business in the Soviet Union. Everything became owned by the people, which was basically the government. She went to university in Kiev and studied politics and of course, got an earful. And then came to the United States and decided that she wanted to become famous. She wanted to be a star. So she wrote some really terrible novels. I mean, like The Fountainhead. And this novel, this woman gets raped and likes it. Right? I mean, this is Ayn Rand's contribution to great literature. And Atlas Shrugged. You don't have to read the 1,000 pages. I'll tell you the storyline. It's really simple. The billionaires are really upset with the unions and the government bureaucrats who are making life hard for them because they are insisting that the billionaires, and by the way, it's a brother and sister who inherited the railroad and all the money from their father. So it's not even people who worked for their money, it's inherited wealth. And so they in order to just show how important they are, they all go on strike. All the billionaires, they just start disappearing from all over America, and they've all gone off to some island someplace, along with John Galt, who has started this revolution. And once the billionaires have left, the country falls apart. Because the bureaucrats don't know how to do anything, and the union people don't know how to do anything. They don't know how to run a business, and so the country falls apart. That's the story of Atlas Shrugged. And finally, all the people are begging the billionaires to come back and run their businesses once again. It's stupid. But the billionaires liked it a lot. It's one of the reasons why the Koch brothers, in some of the university chairs that they funded, they've required that those university professors, particularly in economics, give away copies of Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. It's a book about the billionaires as heroes. So here in clip 3, Shano, this is Mike Wallace interviewing Ayn Rand back in the mid-'60s. And she just basically lays out her philosophy. And he says what he says, and she says what she says, and you can make up your own mind.
You are out to destroy almost every edifice in the contemporary American way of life, our Judeo-Christian religion, our modified government-regulated capitalism, our rule by the majority will. Other reviews have said that you scorn churches and the concept of God. Are these accurate criticisms?
Yes.
Christ, every important moral leader in man's history, has taught us that we should love one another. Why, then, is this kind of love, in your mind, immoral?
It is immoral if it is a love placed above oneself.
And then if a man is weak or a woman is weak, then he is beyond love?
He certainly does not deserve it. He certainly is beyond.
There are very few of us, then, in this world, by your standards, who are worthy of love.
Unfortunately, yes.
So you're only worthy of love if you are incredibly selfish. Now, here, clip 5, this is what Paul Ryan had to say about Ayn Rand.
Ayn Rand, more than anyone else, did a fantastic job of explaining the morality of capitalism, the morality of individualism.
Because she was an atheist, and he's trying to wave his I'm a Catholic flag, although the nuns on the bus are chasing him around the country going, hey, wait a minute, your budget, which privatizes Social Security and does away with Medicare and rips apart the social safety net, is not moral. So this is the basis of it. This is the origin. This is why Mitt Romney says in clip 1, says this. Why? Because in Ayn Rand's worldview, you've got basically the makers and the takers. Right? The makers are the billionaires. The takers are the bureaucrats, the union, the working people. They're all on the take. And that's why Romney says this.
There are 47% of the people who will vote for the president no matter what. All right, there are 47% who are with him, who are dependent upon government, who believe that they are victims, who believe that government has a responsibility to care for them, who believe that they're entitled to health care, to food, to housing, to you name it. That it's an entitlement, and the government should give it to them. And they will vote for this president no matter what. And I mean, the president starts off with 48, 49, 40, he starts off with a huge number. These are people who pay no income tax. 47% of Americans pay no income tax. So our message of low taxes doesn't connect. And he'll be out there talking about tax cuts for the rich. I mean, that's what they sell every 4 years. And so my job is not to worry about those people.
Not to worry about those people. Not to worry about those people in that 47%. That got chopped off pretty fast there, but yeah, it goes on. And why not worry about them? Well, because they're not selfish enough. I mean, Ayn Rand laid it out. They're not worthy of love. They may think that they're entitled to health care, but they're not. Right? Not in Mitt Romney's world, not in Paul Ryan's world, not in Ayn Rand's world. People who are the takers rather than the makers, people who are the moochers rather than the makers, people who are the workers rather than the billionaires, they're not entitled to anything. And if they think they are, then they should vote for Obama. And that's the challenge that Romney has. Right. It's true.